Well, I've got a passed out cat right here, incredibly relaxed, good role model. Anyway, speaking of passing out, I wanted to talk today about another great benefit of meditation over a long, steady period of meditation. That is, not all at once, it takes at least 2 weeks. And that is, here's a word you don't hear applied in this way very often, but sobriety. Meditation brings sobriety. Well, somebody could be listening to this and be almost offended at what I'm saying. I'm entirely sober. And of course, that's the case for most of us, so to speak. And yet, have you ever had an emotional hangover before? Something happens and it releases such an eruption of emotion inside of us that we are swamped in that emotion for day after day after day, sometimes weeks, sometimes months, sometimes even years. Sort of like if you were to drop a bowling ball into a bathtub full of water, it takes that bathtub a long time to recover from the waves that are sent crashing through it. And such is the case for us silly mortals in our emotional life. If our state of consciousness is rather small and limited, it doesn't take much to get us going. And then we're subject to becoming emotionally intoxicated. Not physically intoxicated, although certainly meditation could help anybody if they're undergoing some sort of physical intoxication. It's a great adjunct for that. But today I'm speaking specifically to the condition that most humans face, which is emotional intoxication. And over a long period of time, consistently, meditation provides emotional sobriety. But does this mean, Greg, are you saying that I'll never have swings of emotion? And another person might say, well, I love my emotionality. I love excitement and interest and enthusiasm and passion and love. I love my emotional life. To which I would say, true meditation would only cleanse us of toxic emotionality. The true joy and the bliss and the interest and the engagement and the enthusiasm of being, well, that's our true nature. It's the smaller emotions that have to do with our bathtub self that are the ones we have to be on the lookout for. The times when we're stimulated or a bomb drops inside of us and it's the grief or the resentment or the sadness or the depression that we might find ourselves intoxicated with for a long and extended period of time. What we need is emotional sobriety, a smooth leveling of our emotional life. If we're going to talk to somebody about any important issue in our life, a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, a financial advisor, we want to make sure that they're sober. They can make wise, intelligent decisions. They see the big picture. They're not habituated to a small way of seeing something. This is why we love our trusted advisors. They have a sense of intellectual and psychological sobriety about them. Now, we can have the same thing in our emotional life. This is true for any of us, no matter where we are in this scale. You know people who are wildly emotional, your children, or at one point they certainly were. We've all been through that. We've all been the smaller version of ourselves where almost anything causes us to wildly fluctuate. And then those fluctuations last for hours. And then have you ever woken up the next day after a big emotional engagement and just, you got the thumpy head and you need some Alka-Seltzer, so to speak. And that's no way to live. Well, actually it is a way to live, and it's the way the world at large lives. Look at the news today. Look at all the emotional instability that's going on that creates all the conflict. If people would just meditate, damn it, so much of our emotional instability would turn into emotional sobriety. and we'd simply get along better. It doesn't mean that we wouldn't have conflicts and differences. It wouldn't mean that at all. It just means that we wouldn't constantly be dropping bowling balls into the bathtub of our emotional countenance. And if you meditate over a long period of time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And when the big emotional landmines do come, they will settle more quickly. This simply allows us to see, if you're looking down into a pool of water and it's very turbulent and very cloudy and it's moving, you can't see the bottom, you can't see through. But as the water calms and clarifies, you can see the gold on the bottom of the water, and we see much more than we would otherwise. So anyway, enjoy an emotionally sober day for the most part, I'm sure, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.